The X5 is considered an executive luxury SUV produced by BMW and is built on a rear-wheel drive platform. Now, the X5 was BMW's very first SUV, and it started production in 1999. Of course, BMW now has a slew of SUVs in their lineup, everything from an X2 to an X7 with every number in between. Of course, this one is the X5. It's offered in a few different trims, so let's talk about that right now. So there are a few different trim levels to consider. You have the S-Drive 40i, then you have the X-Drive 40i, which is the all-wheel drive version. The S-Drive is the rear-wheel drive version. Then you have the X-Drive 50i, and then this one, which is the M50i, which isn't the M car. The actual M car is the next trim level up, the X5M. So there are a lot of things that distinguish those trim levels. Let's get into this one and we'll talk about it. All right, so let's take a quick look at the exterior design and the unique presence that this X5 has. Starting up front, obviously you have those kidney grills, a staple from BMW. They are pretty large, but not quite as large as the ones on the X7, but they are active grills. They have active grill shutters in there to help with aerodynamics. You also have adaptive LED headlights and LED fog lights. Now, I really like the headlight design here. There's a lot of intricacy and detail in there if you really get close and look. It's just that extra little touch. I quite like it. Also up front here is the unique M-Performance front fascia that definitely gives this thing an aggressive look. You also get what BMW calls shadow line exterior trimming, and that's this dark chrome trim that you'll see on the grille and along the side. Accompanying that shadow line exterior trim is high gloss black aero blades that can really make some of the aero stand out. Moving along the side here, you do have power folding heated side mirrors. You can get optional roof rails. We don't have those here, but something we do have are these 22-inch M light alloy wheels with M Sport brakes and all-season run-flat tires. Now, standard on the X5 are 20-inch wheels, which if you're getting anything except for this M50i will probably be better because you're going to get a little bit better of a ride. Along the back here, you can see the roof spoiler with center brake light. You've got the LED tail lamps, also with some intricate designs within them. You also have the M rear fascia that's a little bit more aggressive than the regular X5. And you get quad exhaust tips here that are covered with a single chrome surround. And obviously you get that X5 badge and that M50i badge. What you don't get is an X-Drive badge, but this thing does have all-wheel drive. So I quite like this styling on the X5. I really like the X6 in the coupe style of the SUVs, but this one I really like as well. Interested to know your thoughts on the styling here, and if you would get the X5 or an X6. All right, and as the sun is starting to poke through all this fog, let's talk a little bit about this hatch. This is a dual power hatch, so you have two sections that lift out of your way, something that I really like. You can pop this hatch from the inside in a button, from the key on a button, from a button underneath the hatch door here, or with the kick of your foot underneath the bumper. And again, you see that this opens in two different sections. And what I really like about this is that this is essentially a tray that you can set stuff on while you're messing with it. It's a good bench kind of thing to sit on if you're doing something like tailgating. And inside you have a fully finished cargo area, nice carpet and trimming all around. And total cargo volume here is 33.9 cubic feet behind that second row. That is a 40-20-40 split rear seat that you can fold down. And then you get 72.3 cubic feet of cargo space. And I have seen some comments of the X5 being offered with a third row. As far as I know, it's not offered in a third row. I double checked with BMW USA and tried to do a build of this, and it doesn't offer a third row option. And there's really not much space for a third row back here. If you lift up the mat here in the back of the cargo, you get the spare tire. So if you're going for a 3-row family SUV, you're going to be looking at the X7. And of course, when you're ready to close it, you can also hit the button up here or swipe your foot down below, but it does close the bottom first and then pull down the top. You can also close one at a time, so you can just have that closed, which is cool also. And then obviously close just this one. Really cool system. I like it a lot. But now let's go jump under the hood and check out what's powering this M50i. All right, and under the hood here is the 4.4 liter M Performance twin power turbocharged V8 engine. And that pushes 523 horsepower, 553 foot-pounds of torque, and is matched up to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And that transmission has sport and manual shift modes with paddle shifters on the steering wheel, something we'll talk about when we get to the driving section of this review. First, let's talk a little bit about the other engines that you can get in this vehicle. So if you're getting the base X5, you're looking at a 3-liter twin-turbo powered inline 6. That produces 335 horsepower and 330 foot-pounds of torque, matched up to the same 8-speed automatic transmission. So that's the engine you get in the 40i. When you move up to the xDrive 50i, you're getting this same 4.4 liter twin-power turbocharged V8 engine, but you're only getting 456 horsepower versus the 523 you're getting here. And the X5M is also the same engine, except for it has a clean 600 horsepower. So all right, with that, let's go inside, check out the interior. Then we'll take it for a drive, see how this thing really handles on the road, and then we'll wrap this video up. All right, moving to the interior, let's start off with the back seats. All right, so here in the back seat, there is quite a bit to talk about. First off, it is nice and comfortable and luxurious. You get the same quality seats that you get up front. I have plenty of headroom here, and we got this panoramic sunroof. I have plenty of knee room behind the passenger side seat, which is pushed back just as far as the driver's seat. I have plenty of hip and shoulder room. You could fit 3 adults back here just fine. Fitting the 3 kids was no problem. You have a fold-down center armrest with a nifty cup holder design here and a little bit of storage. You get USB Type-C ports on the back of these seats. There's also a little door here, but this is actually a connector if you get the optional screens that can go back here in the back. You also get 2-zone climate control back here, so each side of the back seats can be controlled just like both sides of the front. You also have heated seats back here, and you get these nice little shades that pull up to block some of that Texas sun. All in all, back seats, thumbs up. Now let's move up front and check out the rest of the interior. All right, now let's check out the front. Here it is. A really nice interior. Let's jump into it. All right, so there is legitimately just a ton to talk about on the inside of this car. So we'll probably not touch it all, but I want to touch some of the main things, starting off with these seats. These are Vernasca leather upholstered seats. They are the coffee extended merino leather, and we have the aluminum tetragon trimming. We also have an Alcantara headliner We have the 3-spoke leather-wrapped heated M Sport steering wheel with those paddle shifters right behind the steering wheel. You get a lot of function buttons on the steering wheel, which we'll talk about later. You get an automatic 4-zone climate control. So it is 4-zone. It does the driver's side, the passenger side, and then the 2 sides of the rear seats. The seats that I'm sitting in are 20-way adjustable. There are a ton of buttons and controls down for the seat, and you can adjust just about everything. They are also heated seats. You got the heated steering wheel, and when it's all on, you also get a heated armrest. You also get nice ambient lighting in here that can be changed and controlled. It's a pretty nice system. There's not a ton of control, but you have different moods to select from, and it can be pretty cool. I did take a few clips at night to really emphasize that, so let's look at those right now. I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of cool to play with, a little bit fun to show off. Basically just leave it in one setting though once you get one that you like. So just like a lot of interior lighting, it's kind of gimmicky, but it does give you a chance to set up your car the way that you like it. Again, you can't really choose as many colors or combinations like you can in other vehicles like the Mercedes. It doesn't pulse with the music or anything. It's just a nice constant ambient lighting. But now let's jump into the tech in this vehicle, starting with the 2 separate 12.3-inch displays. The first display here is behind the steering wheel. It is a full 12.3-inch digital cluster, something that I really like these days. No need for analog anymore, full digital. I like it. You can customize it. It changes depending on what driving mode you're in, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. You can get a navigation map right there in the cluster. You also get navigation on the heads-up display. That's a full color heads-up display that is really nice. Another thing I really appreciate in vehicles these days. But there is so much you can do with this thing. It's hard to touch on it all, and we'll get to a little bit more of it while we're driving. But next, let's talk about this 12.3-inch display. This is the infotainment system, and it's run by BMW's multi-input 7.0 iDrive system. This can be operated by voice command, by touch. You can actually touch the screen, or the iDrive touchpad controller right here. Now you do get Apple CarPlay with this system. It's the wireless Apple CarPlay, which is pretty cool, and you have wireless charging. Of course, you still have to pay for that Apple CarPlay. You do have a few USB connections, including a USB Type-A port up front and a USB Type-C port here in the console. Our stereo system here is a Harman Kardon system. It's 464 watts and 16 speakers and sounds really good. You also get a Wi-Fi hotspot in here, and you can do BMW commands, which we'll talk about right now. All right, so what are those BMW commands? Those are kind of like Alexa. You can call the BMW by its name and tell it to do some things for you. So I can say, hey BMW, turn on my heated seat.
Seat heating on the driver's seat at level 3.
So that's pretty cool. You can give it a lot of different commands, obviously, like, hey BMW, turn on the FM radio.
KISS HD1.
HOMES.com. OrchardHomes.com.
Earn up to $400 this month and make life better for
Hey
patients.
BMW, mute the radio.
Mute on.
So like I said, there's a lot of different commands. This isn't connected to the internet or the Wi-Fi, so you can only give it specific commands to the vehicle. You can't ask it questions like you would in Alexa, but it's a pretty cool setup nonetheless. All right, so let's get into some of the meat of it. Let's take this thing for a drive and see how it is out on the road. Now, first thing that you'll notice, even in eco or comfort modes, that exhaust sounds really nice coming out of this V8 engine. You do get drive modes. You have the Sport, the Comfort, the Eco Pro, or the Adaptive mode. And sport-wise, this is definitely made to be a sporty SUV. You also have that Adaptive M suspension, which gives you a really comfortable ride, and obviously adapts it to the road or adapts it to whether you're being sporty or want to drive in comfort. We also have here the M Sport differential, which helps with traction, giving you the most power to the ground as possible. Definitely one of the things that I look at when driving a sporty version of another vehicle is, does it still work as just a regular day-to-day vehicle? Does this work just as well as the X5 40i? I would say yes. Does it work as a very powerful SUV? I would definitely say yes there as well. This is a ton of fun to drive, lots of power. You can still fit the family in. You can still do your day-to-day errands in it. For a family man looking for something very powerful and sporty, it definitely hits a home run for me. So you also get a lot of the really cool tech features that you would get in other BMWs, including the dynamic cruise control that you can set. It will watch the lanes for you, keep you within the lanes. It will watch the car in front of you and keep you a certain distance behind that car. It will brake for you. It will accelerate for you. Now you're seeing this in more and more vehicles these days. It's a pretty cool feature to have, especially if you're doing longer road trips, and it works pretty well in here. We're on a backcountry road right now, so you're not going to see it, but let's cut to a clip of me using this out on the highway. These are all season tires here, and we do have the X drive, but it's a little slippery out here. So let's try a 0 to 60, dead stop. Turn off our little safety features here. We're in sport mode. I'm not doing manual shift, just doing auto shift. So let's go. And as you can see, sucker's fast. Fuel economy wise, in this vehicle we have a 21.9 gallon fuel tank. The EPA rating is 16 miles per gallon city, 22 miles per gallon highway, with a combined average of 18 miles to the gallon. And for the full week of me driving this car, I've been averaging 16.6 miles to the gallon. Again, whether it's the tech in here, the interior quality, the drive, bits of the exterior, there's just so much that goes into this vehicle. It's hard to touch on them all. I hope I did a fair and decent enough job for you guys. Let's jump into the price and competition and see what's what. All right, so before we wrap this up, let's talk price and competition. First of all, let's go back to those trim levels. You have the S-Drive 40i, 335 horsepower, 0 to 60, 5.2 seconds. Base MSRP is $58,900. The X-Drive 40i, 335 horsepower, 5.3 second, 0 to 60, $61,200 is the base price on that. Moving up to the xDrive 50i, 456 horsepower, 4.6 seconds, 0 to 60, $76,150 base price. This one, the M50i, 523 horsepower, 4.1 seconds, 0 to 60, $82,150 as the base price. If you're looking at that X5M, 600 horsepower, 3.8 seconds, 0 to 60, $105,100 is your base MSRP. So this one, with the few options that we have here, the M50i, this one has an MSRP of $97,195. So what are we talking about competition here? Easy ones to think of are Audi and Mercedes competing with BMW. And if you're looking at the X5, that's true. You could be looking at the Q5 or the GLC. But if you're looking at this M50i, the Q5 and even the SQ5 don't really compete with this vehicle. Not on price and not on power. The GLC, though, does have an AMG version that is pretty powerful and pretty expensive, and that might be something you consider looking at besides this. You also have Maserati's new SUV, Porsche's SUVs, the Jaguar F-Pace, and some more of the high-end supercar-like SUVs that are out now. Quite frankly, I haven't driven them personally, so it's hard for me to compare it to this. Something that I have driven personally that really reminds me of this vehicle is the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT or the Trackhawk. Both very powerful V8 engines, both pretty luxurious, both two-row SUVs, both pretty expensive prices. And I would definitely say this one takes it for me. I like the aesthetic, I like the interior and the tech that you get in here. The Grand Cherokee Trackhawk is an amazing vehicle. It looks mean, it sounds mean. It's got that Hemi engine, supercharged Hemi engine. I really like it. It's a great vehicle, but if it was my money, it'd be tough to pass up this BMW. So I can say this is definitely a vehicle that I've had a lot of fun in for the week that I've had it. It is just a two-row SUV, so whenever we went and did family stuff with everybody, I couldn't take this one, unfortunately, because we don't have a third row. But for the most part, I did drive this. I did drive it with the family in it. If I had the money for it, this is a pretty good choice. I think it's a good mix between sportiness, luxury, comfort, family, tech. It's just a really expensive price, but obviously you know what you're paying for when you're inside messing with the tech or when you're putting your foot down and hearing that exhaust. Well, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the BMW X5 M50i. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. And if you subscribe to us on our other channel, you would have seen a quick and dirty video doing a 0 to 60 in this car. A lot of fun. It's gotten pretty good views. So again, if you want the kind of sneak peek when we're doing these things, before we actually get the review out, we're definitely posting some videos over there. Go check out the other one. I'll try to link it up in an iCard. Definitely will be down in the description. Thanks, guys.